Or if you're using Google Sheets and you have a table of data like this one right here, and you want to sum values, so we'll say we're going to sum the cases based on the values in another column of cells. So what that means here, what we're going to do is sum the number of cases of wrenches. So we want to pick the 11, the 10, and the 1, and then do it for all the other items as well. So we'll go over 3 different ways to do this, starting with the easiest, and use the one that works best for you. So in this first example, we're going to use 2 traditional spreadsheet functions, traditional meaning you'll recognize how they work, and we'll use them to create a column of items and then a column of the sum of each one of those items. So let's grab the headers. In this first example, you have to put the headers in yourself. And we're going to get a list of the unique items here. So we'll use a really nice function called unique. And it will just pull each unique value out of this column. Hit enter. And now we have a list of everything that we want to sum. So we'll come over to the next column and we'll do that summing. It's going to be a conditional sum, so we will sum it if the word wrench is there. And the easy function for that is called SUMIF. And the SUMIF function, let's show the formula help. There we go. The first thing that it wants is the range with the criteria in it. So we'll say we want to look at A2 through A11. And then the criteria that we want in this case is wrench. So we're going to sum column B if column A has the word wrench in it. The last argument that it's looking for is what values to sum. So we'll say B2 through B11. We'll close this off, we'll hit enter, and it says 22 wrenches. So we'll check that. We'll say 11 wrenches, 10 and 1, come in the bottom right hand corner, and that says 22. Now there's one thing to look out for here. We're going to act like we don't know that. We're going to drag this formula down. And that's not working right now. And I'll tell you why it's not working. If we look in nails and we double click it, dragging it down shifted the ranges that it's looking at. What we need to do is come up to the original formula and we're going to fix these ranges. So you can do that by adding a $sign before the values that you don't want to change. So that's the row numbers. So we're going to put $signs before the row numbers, hit enter. Copy this down again. So what I'm doing to copy it down is you get the crosshairs when you hover over it and you drag it down. That copies the formula. And if I double click in cell F5 to look at that formula, you can see by the outlines here that those ranges are not moving down, but the criteria is, because I did not fix this second argument, right? I left the 5 without a $sign. So that's the first way to sum these values. Nice and easy. If that does it for you, then you're done. But if you want something more flexible, you can come in and change on the fly later. These next 2 examples are going to allow you to do that. The first one is a pivot table. So let's just go to where we want to start the pivot table. Let's E7, and we'll say insert pivot table. The data range. So we will, that's the source data that gets fed into the pivot table. We'll click on select data range, and Sheets tries to guess for you. And this first guess is right. That's the table that we want, A1 through C11. So we will click on that and say, okay. And then we want to put this pivot table in the existing sheet in cell E7. Click create. And then when you do that, the pivot table editor comes up in a sidebar on the right-hand side. And we're going to try to make this look exactly like what we did on top here with the formulas. So that's the items are in the rows and the values are the sum of the cases. So let's go over here. For the rows, we're going to drag in item. For the values, we will say cases. And it did some work for us. So it put the items in order, ascending order. So that's why they look a little bit different. So it assumed that we're summing. That's correct. And put a grand total on there. If you don't want that, just take off show totals. And if that's all you wanted to do, then you're done. So the advantage of this, there's no formulas here. And so you have options here. Let's go to the third option. The third option, we go back to a formula now. So the advantage of formulas is that you can feed other values into them, right? So you can programmatically make it more dynamic. And in this query function, you can actually bring in multiple tables of data. That's just one of the flexibilities that you have. So if you want to use it, what you do is you hit the equal sign because it's just a function. And let's type out query. And the query function first needs to know where the data is. So we will include the header. So we'll go all the way, start at A1 and go down to C11. But the second thing, this is where the unfamiliarity comes in if you're just a spreadsheet person, because now it wants a SQL query. SQL is a different language than you're used to in a spreadsheet, but that's kind of the magic of the query function, is that it allows you to work in this very expansive language that's built for databases, but actually happens to work well in spreadsheets also. And what it can do is, we'll do a real simple one to start out with, and then we'll build it out. Take caps lock off, select everything. The select function is looking for what you want to return. And we'll end that right now. We will say we want one header row, hit enter, and then the query function just brings out everything that was in the original table. So let me fix the formatting, and then we will customize the query function to just give what we want. So right now it's everything, but what we want to do is just return column A, right? And the sum of B, we want to group that by A, which is where the items are. All right, so that's nice and easy. That creates the same output as a pivot table. It looks a little bit different, right? Pivot tables come with their own formatting that you can customize. Query functions just output text. But if you're familiar with the query function, this can be even faster. So let's just make a change on the fly here. And this is the flexibility that examples 2 and 3 have when you build them like this. So let's say we want to return, let's say we also want to group it by warehouse. Okay, so these come in different warehouses. So we'll say select A, sum of B, and then we're going to throw C in there as well. Let's go back here though and make it the second column. And then we want to group by A, and then we'll add in C. Hit enter. A completely new table appears that's grouped, has an additional level of grouping, and it was that easy. You just added 2 little additions into the formula, and you got all of this. All right, so if you want to learn more about the query function, in this next video, we go through all the different options in it, and it kind of opens up a whole new world with how to work with your data. All right, I'll see you in that video. Thanks for watching.